Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Circle of Hope podcast. My name is Valerie Hope. I am your host. I'm also so thrilled to bring you conversations to show how connections support us in growing and thriving as humans. Today, I have such a special guest. Talk about growing and thriving as human. Number one, this individual has helped me grow and thrive over the last, I don't know, Felipe, we've been friends for 13 years.
Yeah, that's what I would say as
Yeah.
well. Yes.
So 13 plus years. Um, this is Felipe Ferreira, everybody. Felipe and I met, oh gosh, we only met twice in person in
It's
this long, lovely friendship that we've had. Because you and I were both working for Hyatt, and you were in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I was, here in the US and Texas, and we had opportunities to work together on a couple of projects. But I'm curious about what is it that had us connect beyond the work we did together? Do you know?
that's a very good question, Valerie. So hello everybody and thank you for having me. I would say, well, maybe from my part, I was always interested since I was a child, really, to connect with foreign people. I always found it very curious just to talk to a person that speaks a different language.
Mm.
And then you were really, of course, and then it's you, Valerie. It's you were so kind and so open. I remember my first task was to give you a property tour, and you were so interested, asking questions. And then I think I got into the mood as well. And that was the first time, actually, yeah, that we met in person. But then, of course, that was not enough. We had to there was probably more, and I think it was well, you add a lot of value to me as a person, as a professional. We exchange on very different levels, and I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, well, I think it's all about the exchange then. So I receive a lot, I get a lot, but maybe I can give you a little bit as well.
No, I receive a lot too. No, so I think this is the part that's really magical about this, about our relationship, is that one, we've only met in person twice. And at the time, actually, I was working in a corporate role and you were working in a property-based role. And so I hate to put this very bluntly, but we weren't even colleagues really,
Yeah.
right? You were providing a service because I was there to do a workshop and you were the person arranging all the things. And so I think initially it was kind of a um I hate, I'm gonna say it this way because, but you know what I mean. There was like this different status of responsibility and accountability in the roles that we played, right? So we were not necessarily in the same level of in our jobs. We had different roles. You were in the local property. I was coming from the outside. All of those things. Um, and then I think the other thing that always intrigued me about you, you were always so enthusiastic and so like just thirsty for knowledge and connecting with people, because one of the things that I was inspired to do shortly after having traveled to all these different places is to do a connection between all the different learning managers in the region. And that was quite new. That was not something that we'd done before, but you participated in all of those conversations and beyond, actually, because not only was it like a little support group, so to speak, and I could share and ask questions and get information that way, but also you took it beyond that by connecting personally with some of the people in the region, right? I think that was something I admired. I was glad to have created a platform for this connection, and then to see someone like you that was like, oh, this is going to help me too. I want to make some friends and I want to help other people. So it wasn't always generated by me. And that, I think, is the thing about you that I have seen consistently over these few years. Because even when I left Hyatt, and you were still working for Hyatt at the, no, were you? Yeah, you were still working for Hyatt
Yeah.
at the time, in Rio. And I remember, I don't know what the conversation, if you'd called me for something or if I called you for something, but all of a sudden our conversation started to be about just like life. And I noticed how much we had in common and the way we thought about the world, and how excited we were to get to know not only one another, but to explore all these different cultures and the spiritual realm of life. Like we just we went deep. We went very deep.
Exactly. And that's what's coming to me as well, because I really blame it on the universe. I remember I
Don't
yeah,
blame it.
well, I mean in the best way possible. That's I mean in
Shame
the
on you,
best way
universe. You did this to
possible.
me.
So I thank the universe then for the
There you go.
connection,
That's better.
because really exactly. Yeah, no, and I think, yeah, I was, well, because of this community that you built while we worked together. I remember, yeah, I was always excited, to work on projects with you or to report whatever we were doing at this property level. And then
Mhm.
after you left, of course, like the community was there, and I had the privilege and to work with so many people and to develop different relationships with them as well. But you were not there anymore, so at some
Mhm.
point I felt the need to reach out to connect with you again. And I'm glad, yeah, because I needed to bounce back a little bit on a certain
Reciprocal.
topic, I guess,
Yeah.
and obviously hear from you. But you were also already like starting your own business,
Mhm.
and you would also benefit from some suggestions, ideas, or people that could test tools and
Yeah.
things for you. So it was a great match.
I think the key point here is that don't ever take for granted that the people in your circle who are the most beneficial to us, not only at the professional level, but also personally, emotionally, all of the things, um, may not be your peers, right? It could be people in a completely different department. It could be people in a different state in the organization level of the organization. So I think that's number one. And then number two, this idea of always pouring into the other person. I think every time you and I have spoken, even since then, has always been about gifting knowledge, gifting information. It's always been an exchange of some sort. It's never been me like, I'm teaching Felipe or whatever, or I'm using Felipe to gather insights for the region and give them to me. It was never that way. It was always I've always felt that there is this very reciprocal nature to our relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, and
Mhm.
now that I'm saying it out loud, it's just funny because maybe the first thing that I said was about my curiosity to connect with people from different cultures and that spoke different languages. And then because then you just said, okay, maybe what kept you motivated, like to keep, like, and again, it's this curiosity about like learning and hearing more from you, and having literally a different perspective and a different standpoint on so many topics. So I think that enriches relationships a lot, and I'm glad yeah, technology also helped us in staying
Yes.
connected for so long.
Yeah, because we Zoom at least twice a month,
Yeah.
right? And that's been pretty steady for like 6 years or something. And by the way, y'all, if any of you watch the podcast Not Quite Strangers that I had before this, uh, Felipe was actually my right hand in producing that podcast and creating a lot of the content that we put together and participating in the podcast in a lot of different ways. He was on both sides of the screen, actually. So, Felipe, thank you so much. You have been really a ride or die for me. It's been, yeah, it's so interesting how our relationship has evolved. I think this is the other cool thing you're talking about, having this fascination and curiosity about people from foreign cultures and countries and all that. So one, tell us a little bit about your background. Like where are you from? We've already established that you lived in Brazil, but tell us a little bit about that background. And what is it about other cultures and countries or foreigners that you've been curious? What was it that made you curious about that?
Yeah, so well, I'm originally from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I was born and raised in Sao Paulo. Just before I turned 30, I actually ended up going to Rio de Janeiro. So I was transferred for a job opportunity there, and I lived there for almost 5 years. And although those are cities that are next to each other and they are sister or brother states, if you will, they cannot be more different, right? So while in Sao Paulo, people are very business driven, everything is fast, and like service levels are great, and the theater scene, restaurants, and all. Rio is all about nature and the wonders of nature. Actually, it's a city that was built in the middle of hills and the sea and lagoons and mountains, and it's just heaven on earth. This is, for me, it's the most beautiful city in the world. So I got to enjoy like these two different worlds, to get the best of these two worlds. And even though, as I was just telling you guys, I went to Rio nearly, when I was 30 almost, I still
Decades ago.
got, oh my
I'm
god.
kidding. I'm
No,
kidding.
Valerie, come on.
Okay.
So yeah, I still got to learn so much. So I think I'm a product somehow of those two places.
Mm.
uh well, the world changes.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the beautiful things about life. Anything can happen. And I'm actually, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm connecting from Germany, so from southern Germany, Bavaria. I've been living here for the past 3 years. I also came here for a job opportunity, and it's been a blast so far. It's just been so interesting to learn to demystify. Is that even a word in English? Is that I like to
Demystify. Mm-hmm.
exactly, the German culture, and any preconceived ideas that we might have about it. It's just being really amazing, and I get to enjoy, of course, like my local culture here, bring a little bit of my culture into the mix, and experience where I am here in Bavaria, and especially my city. We have international companies all around, many different nationalities. So I have the privilege of listening to like different languages, to
Yeah.
try different dishes, to go to different restaurants. And I don't know, it's really hard to put into words why it ignites me in such a way. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just wonderful. There is just so much for us to experience in the world. The world
Yeah.
is too big, and I think we before we leave it, I think we gotta try to have a little taste of what we can.
Have a taste of everything. So you're just a global citizen. I
I
want
would
to go.
consider myself one. Yes, I
You
would.
are. You're living it. And you worked at, didn't you work at Epcot, Disney World too?
I spent a few months, yeah, working for Disney World. It was not Epcot, it was the
Oh, was it?
Magic Kingdom.
Oh,
But
okay.
well, yeah, but I kind of like have this joke with one of my best friends. Whenever I visit a country, I'm like, Natalia, it looks like Epcot. And then she goes like, shut up. Epcot looks like this country. So
So you're comparing to Disney World. Looks like this, or this looks like Disney. I gotcha.
exactly. But it's just wonderful that yes, we have this world showcase where you
Yeah.
get to go to a different country and experience different language, habits. Even the lightning is so different, and I just love it.
Huh. I want to go back to when you made your transition from living in Sao Paulo to living in Rio de Janeiro. You said you're born and raised in Sao Paulo. It's a capital of Brazil. It's very, no, it's not the capital. Is it capital?
No, no,
No,
it's not the
Brasilia is,
capital.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
Brasilia is the
Brazil,
capital.
correct.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's one of the main cities.
It's
It's one
one
of
of
the
the,
main destinations. Yes.
yes. So you have this culture, right? For lack of a better word, culture of commerce, culture, the fast pace, like you mentioned, all this, the culture of the arts and performances and all that sort of thing. And then you move into this area that is, that really loves, it's all about nature and communing with the nature, with the sea, with the mountains, etc. One, what was it like for you personally shifting from one, because you were there for work still, right? So what impact did that move have on you? And also more importantly, the relationships. How were your relationships in Sao Paulo different than the relationships that you built in Rio? Was there any difference?
Mhm. Yes, and I was even laughing because, like, let's start with work. The work culture is really different.
Mm,
again, coming from Sao Paulo, very tense, very and in Rio, things take more time. People appreciate having a coffee with you, and like maybe you will get there and things will
Yeah.
get done, but in a different pace. And
Mm,
for me to adjust was something interesting. It took me some time,
mm.
but of course, like after living and experiencing this, I see beauty in that as well. So that taught me how to collaborate or how to reach people or access them in a different way.
Give us an
Um,
example, like how you had to shift.
um, Well, and I'm sorry to all the cariocas, people from Rio that are listening to this right now, but so cariocas are very well known for being fashionably late. It means that they won't start on time in Rio de Janeiro. So as a trainer, I was always there. If the session was scheduled for 10 a.m., I would be ready at 9:45, waiting for
Mhm.
everybody, and I would start at 10. People would never show up at 10. So maybe my session would start at 10:10, 10:15,
Mm,
and during my first experiences, I would just get mad at that. But then I came to understand that, well, you won't start, and that's okay. We can still manage, we can still be flexible and deliver something with quality if we give enough time for people. So if everybody will show up and we can start and have a great session at 10:15, let's make it 10:15. I can adjust.
okay.
So it's not that easy. It didn't come naturally,
Mm,
but well, yeah, eventually it worked out. So that's one of the few examples. And also again, like not only work related, but Rio is a city to be outdoors. Nature
mm,
is there. The temperature is higher than in Sao Paulo. It's warmer than in Sao
mm,
Paulo. So you are usually outside,
yeah.
and you will meet with your friends at a bar outside, at the beach. Not necessarily, you won't go for dinner on a shopping mall, not necessarily,
Mm,
as you would in Sao Paulo, maybe. So
mm,
adapting my lifestyle to be a bit more outdoors. Also, I see a lot of value in that nowadays. And of course, that pays into relationships because you will dress differently, you will talk about different stuff, you
mm,
will connect on a different level, even. So
mm.
yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't know how conscious it is when you move from, first of all, you're just talking about the climate, right? And how that influences the activities that you do. It influences how you dress and what you do. How did it influence the people you chose to spend time with? Like, who did you connect to in Rio versus the people you connect to when you were in Sao Paulo?
Hmm. Well, work brought me there. So my very first connections were from work. And at that time, we were opening a new property. So there's something very special about an opening team,
Mm,
because you are experiencing all of that. You are working towards the same goal, which is open a new property. And so I would say that that brought a whole different element to the relationships that I developed.
mm,
And it's been 10 years, but up to these days, some of my best friends were made during that experience. And whenever
yeah.
I travel back and I visit them, like those are the people that I meet uh, at the beach or at a bar
Mm,
to connect with them. um, Again, it's a bit hard to say because at the same time that it was work, I was a new person on that city, and I guess I was trying to also build connections that would make me stay there. So I was probably asking more questions about things to do,
yeah.
or how could I explore the city. And I was lucky to have people that were open to show me around, to spend time with me, which I'm very grateful for, and to kind of like open this whole new world that was new for me.
Mhm.
And I think it's all about, I always believe in a very two-way street kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yes, being open and receiving a lot from these people, but also showing up and trying to be there for them as well in whatever they needed. So I
Yeah.
think that's what established my relationships there when I think back.
Hmm. It makes a big difference, especially connecting to a new community, right? You have to find a new place to get your haircut. You have to find a new
Oh
dentist.
yeah.
You have to go shopping in different places, right? Activities, like you said, that maybe are not as common in Sao Paulo. You have new activities, right? A social circle, all of those things. Was there anybody in your time that helped you with the transition, or how did you manage like establishing this new life in a new place? Did you find this one person that kind of introduced you? Did you find yourself just exploring on your own? Like how was, how did you get connected?
Yeah. I was lucky to have great people around me. So, well, my sister lives in Rio de Janeiro, so that's an element that, of course, I cannot ignore. So, having blood family around is amazing. And
Mhm,
I got to when I moved to Rio on the very same week my niece was born. So
mhm,
being able to spend time with my sister as an adult, right? Because we were living in different cities. Then every Sunday to go to their place, spend time with my brother-in-law, my niece, my brother-in-law's family that is originally from Rio. So, and their friends as well brought me a
mhm,
whole new world. At the same time at work, I had wonderful people that they kind of knew that was I was by myself,
yeah,
so on a Friday night, they would invite me for happy hours. So
mm,
at least we would spend some time outside of the office talking about life, enjoying getting to know a new bar, a new place. And
mm,
for those people, I was very, very grateful. I'm still very grateful for. Things, of course, developed because these very first months, of course, at some point they are done, and you are there in the city. But I was still able to find there's especially like one person. Her name is Sabrina, and I call her my first my first time agent because I had so many amazing first times in Rio because of her. She would take me to different places, or would do I would do different activities for the first time because she would take me there. So maybe I wouldn't have the courage to do that or to go there
yeah,
on my own, but obviously having her as this
mm,
person show me around because she knew
yeah,
where we were going was something beautiful. And also, I think there is another layer that is coming to me right now as I speak, which is making friends or new friends when you are an adult.
mhm,
um, I think that's quite different because when you are kids, you probably connect with people from your community, from your
mm,
school, or maybe a course that you take. But then when you are an adult, there are so many other layers and so many other different things. And
yeah,
I cannot forget about like Karina, and she's I consider her like my older sister. She was one of them that gave me all her time to make
mm,
sure that I would feel comfortable when and I was in the city. And yeah, there are so many names: Sandra, Vanessa, so many people. I don't want to be unfair, but
you have a
obviously
lot
I'm
of
very grateful.
sisters.
Yes, and they know that I'm very grateful because we are still in
Yeah,
contact. So that's
yeah.
how valuable their contribution was to me and while I was there.
I love that. The first time agent, Sabrina. It's
I
funny. I
mean,
think, when I think about, well, the context for my going to Sao Paulo or Rio is a little different, obviously, and I was only there for short periods of time. But I do remember, part of it in my experience is that if I'm in a city or in a country, especially if I'm there for a very limited amount of time, I don't want to waste time like lamenting that, oh, I wish I had more time. I think so many people do that when they travel someplace, even for a short time. It's like, if I was here for 2 weeks, I would do that. I'm like, no, I'm here for a week. I'm gonna do as much as I can. I went to the Copacabana Beach. I went to Salguero, the samba party. I went to Pau de, what's the mountain? Pau de,
Oh, the sugar, the sugar
yeah,
loaf.
the Sugar Mountain, Sugarloaf. I went to Corcovado. I went to the
Yeah.
Botanical Garden. I like all this in like 2 days or something crazy. But part of it for me was connecting, in the hotel industry, it's quite easy to go to a concierge or somebody, and they hooked me up with like, okay, talk to this person, and they'll take you on these tours. They find the information. But I love this idea of you being able to just really delve into another culture because you had these agents, right? You have all these sisters agents who help move you through all these different experiences and didn't have to do things on your own. And I wonder how many people sometimes, look and go to another place, move to another city, and don't know anyone or don't have the same level of connections that they would normally have, and either limit themselves, like I don't want to do all the things because I don't want to do it by myself,
Mhm.
or I feel kind of awkward because this is not the same culture I'm used to. But I love this idea of finding an agent to kind of open doors or to accompany, to be with us when we're trying new things. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And now and I think like especially talking about like Sabrina's case, she was also from a different department.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't spend too much time, let's say, but whenever we had the time, and I think that's how we established our relationship, we would
Mm.
exchange a lot on a personal level, and then we would find common interests.
Yeah.
So we are, we love astrology and music
Yeah.
and activities in the city. So I think that really brought us together. And yeah, 10 years later, so I visited Brazil recently. I met her and she took me on a different adventure again. And I was
Mhm.
introduced to a whole new group of people because she
Oh,
keeps, yeah, building the path for me and connecting me with others and showing me great things around. So, yeah.
kudos to her. Thanks, Sabrina. Next time I come to Rio de Janeiro, I'm calling you.
She's your girl.
She's my
Yes.
girl. Okay, so then let's talk about, it was funny because when you talked about cariocas, right, being not always being on time, and this very lax relationship to time, right? They have a very different relationship to time from Sao Paulo, but you're still in Brazil. So it's like a spectrum, right? So you leave this spectrum to go to Europe to work and travel in Germany, which I perceive as a completely opposite end of the spectrum from the perspective of how time is lived. So when you talk about you've lived now in Germany for the last 3 years, you went there for a professional opportunity. One, what were the biggest challenges in moving now across the world, right, to another continent, into a country? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Oh, that's interesting because the first thing that comes to my mind, again, I was very lucky with that opportunity because when I went out of the airport door, I had someone waiting for me, and that person, her name is Elvira. Elvi, she and I met also during my high years in 2013.
Mm.
I was working at the human resources department. She was coming, she's originally from Mexico, but she was relocating to Brazil for a corporate management trainee program. And again, because I'm the curious person that likes to connect with foreigners, I remember when she arrived, and up to now, like she tells everybody this story. When we met for the first time, I was like, "Oh my God, you're LV! Welcome to Brazil. It's so nice to meet you." And I started to practice my Spanish with her, and then I don't know, well, we built this connection. We remained friends, but our professional paths took us on different, yeah, we took different directions. I
Uh-huh.
ended up going to Rio, she ended up going to Spain, and
Mm.
at some point she came to Germany, and we stayed friends. We would connect every now and then to, get updates about each other's lives. and she would say, I would love to bring you here and to refer you to the company that I'm working with because I think you would do really well here. And I was, well, amazing, but I could never imagine that this would actually turn into an opportunity. She referred me, I did all the interviews, and then I got this job offer. So again, coming back to the beginning of this story, when I was out the door at the airport, she was waiting for me, which is something that I
Mm.
will never forget. And having a person that was
Yeah.
part of my circle already um, made all the difference. It's I couldn't be more thankful again. She showed me where the supermarket was, or she really gave me all the tips and tricks
Yeah.
that I needed for my first days and months. She
Mhm.
and her husband, they would drive me to stores to get furniture, for example, or so, or offering me their time again because
Mhm.
they knew that I was coming here on my own,
Mhm.
and then also building this bridge and introducing me to people that are also now part of my circle, so building this bridge so I could also establish new relationships, professional and personal, was also something very, very important. And yes, it couldn't be more different from Rio de Janeiro, uh, but it has so many beautiful things here as well, right?
Mhm.
And well, talking about the relationship with time and how time is perceived, at least that's my experience, right? So things start really early here in Germany,
Mhm.
which is okay for me. I'm a morning person, but people are in the office at 7:30, 8, like the office is already burning, everyone is there.
Yeah.
And maybe I would start at 9:30 when I was in Brazil or in Rio de Janeiro. So well, it's almost a 2 hour difference. Yeah, people are already on the street, everything is already working, which obviously allows you to come home earlier,
Mm.
and have quality time with your friends and your family. Dinner time is, well, lunchtime is earlier. Dinner time is earlier than I
Mm.
was used to that as well. So I think there's a whole adaptation that your body goes through because you really start to eating dinner and lunch at a different time. You go to bed earlier. Things close earlier, at least
Mhm.
where I am in Bavaria. So everything is closed by 8. Nothing is open during Sundays. So all the shops are going to be closed. You will have
Mhm.
theaters, movie theaters, and restaurants, cafes, but you need to organize yourself differently. So if you don't do your groceries on Saturday, you have to wait until Monday.
Mm.
So all of these things, they add to the mix. And again, I know it's not for everybody, but it's working really well for me.
Clearly. Well, look, and to be fair, we gotta state that you're a polyglota, right? You're a polyglot. So you speak Portuguese, you speak Spanish, and you speak German and English, right? So you have all the languages.
I'm, I'm working on my German, Valerie. Let's make it very clear here.
No, 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 no. I'm not gonna take that. No, because you've been working on it for 3 years, and the fact that you were able to arrange all the things that you've been able to arrange lately, anyways, using your German tells me that you're fluent in German. Am I wrong?
I can navigate easy situations on my daily life, but I wouldn't be able to have this conversation. But anyway, but thank you. I'll just take the compliment and
Take the
accept it. Thank
compliment.
you.
Yes. If
I'll
you
take
can communicate like and get things done in any language, you're fluent, right? Maybe you're not doing interviews yet, but there might be some time in the future.
it.
So I think it's important for people to know that obviously making connections when you don't speak the language could pose other obstacles, right? If you don't connect with people who can support and translation and all that stuff. What do you want to say about that?
Yeah, I know it sounds so cliche, but a smile really opens doors. And I think I've heard something from a friend earlier this year. How could I translate that to English? Because she told me that in Portuguese. I think it's all about the intention and the principle.
Mm.
So and when she told me that, I was like, wow, I see a lot of value in that. So even if you cannot communicate, people can really tell if your intentions are good. And I think when it comes to principle, like if it's on the right path, if it's done for a
Yeah.
reason, if it's done for the greater good.
Mm.
And I think that is something that needs to be considerate
Mm.
when you're not fluent on a language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
the fun.
that plays a huge role, and along with a smile, along with manners,
Mm.
um, I think that can open. Yeah, doors can be open.
Huge. It's been some time, 20 plus years since I've been to Germany, but I remember when I was working with people, we toured Germany a couple of times and we'd spend like a couple months in the country, stayed in host families throughout. And it was one of my first experiences being in host families where English was not a language that was spoken with comfort, right? So I had to figure out ways to communicate. But actually, it even started, I'll go back. I remember staying in a host family in Canada, a German host family. And they were gone for the day at work, and I was home for whatever reason. I was home by myself, and the phone rang. And back then, this predates text messaging and all the things. So when somebody wasn't home and the phone rang, and although there may have been a voicemail, this person kept calling back. Like, the phone would ring, 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 and I'm not answering because it's not my home, and who knows, right? So it ring, 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 and then it would stop, and then it would start ringing again, and it happened like 3 times, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe the family's trying to get a hold of me. And again, we don't have cell phones or anything, so let me pick up the phone. And the person that was on the other end was speaking in German. And I was like, oh, I don't speak German. I'm sorry. And so and they, we figured that there was no way to communicate whatever they wanted to communicate, and they didn't speak English, so we hung up. When the couple came back home later that day, I told them about this experience. I said, I don't know, somebody's been trying to call you. They didn't leave a voicemail, but I picked up the phone after some time and they didn't speak any English. So how do I say I don't speak German? Can I just at least say this in German? Ich spreche kein Deutsch. Like, okay, got
Genau.
it. And so I think there are these moments where I started to like, it's kind of nice to be able to connect with somebody, even just to tell them I'm not the person that you can connect with beyond this, but to be able to say something, because being on the phone and not knowing if the person got it or not was very awkward. And so because then I knew, so years later, I got the opportunity to go to Germany and stay with all these different host families. I started getting very curious about the language, and you started learning some random phrases like, ich suche Geschenke für 2 Jungen. Like I'm looking for toys for little boys or something. Little phrases that I'd learned here and there. And then I would take, when I go to a store, ich suche Parfum or something. And like, I would just keep using these little phrases. But you were saying earlier, this idea of intention and principle, like this idea that whenever we're in a different culture, at least has worked for me, where I don't speak the language, and I've been to many countries where that's the case. The idea is smiling, right? Having just a friendly, open demeanor has always helped, but also this willingness to say something, this willingness to try to pronounce the name of the city, say something in the language. More often than not, it's been very seldom that I've had a negative experience with this, but more often than not, somebody is willing to pause, take their time, introduce you to someone that could help translate or whatever. So I'm so happy that you were able to make this big transition professionally, but also enhanced your personal life too. It didn't constrict it. It actually blossomed it in so many ways.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm very glad for that. And I totally agree with you. It's all about, yeah, trying and saying the little words that speaks volumes, right? And
Hmm.
that shows a great attitude. And even like when I approach people here in, I know probably will be a longer conversation that I'm not comfortable in holding in German. I usually say so. I cannot speak that much in
Say
German,
it in
like,
German. Say it in
but
German.
oh no, no, Valerie, don't, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
Look,
no,
if
no,
I
no,
said three
don't make me
phrases
do
in
it.
German, seriously,
Okay, all right. So, ich kann nicht sehr gut Deutsch sprechen, aber können wir Englisch sprechen?
ah,
So
yeah, genau.
yeah, see, yes. So usually instead of like shooting something in English to get the person,
Yeah,
like off guard and
yeah,
kind of like block that connection already, why
yeah.
not saying, well, maybe I cannot speak very fluently, but can
Mhm.
we transition to English then?
Yeah.
Again, more often than not, I get a very positive response saying, "Oh,
Mm.
okay, that's fine." Or someone will even compliment, say, "Oh, very good pronunciation. Come on, like I'm sure you can speak it." And then you build from
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
I'm not saying that I'm best at anyone for doing that, but I it is intentional
yeah.
and it's working. So I think that's how we are here about, like, talking about how to build connections,
Yeah,
how to have people in your circle, and I think those
yeah.
little gestures play in your favor.
They go a long way. When you think about, connecting obviously is such a big part of not only our story, but also this conversation. What are the challenges? Like, what are the things that for you have been most challenging or most difficult in really navigating connections with other people?
Mm. Well, my approach is always to try to find something in common.
Mm,
And I think that that's what will ignite the conversation.
yeah.
Sometimes when you cannot find that many things in common, that's when it can become a bit challenging,
Yeah.
but also having like this very active listening skills can also help you very much, so you can know what you can ask later, how to build up the next
Mm,
question. So this is not, you know we cannot take it for granted. So really, I know that we are maybe, at this point, people might be feeling tired about hearing about, again, active listening.
mm.
um, I don't think we should take it for granted. It is really important.
It makes a difference.
um, exactly. Yeah, maybe in a situation where I'm feeling a bit less, or maybe I'm feeling a bit intimidated by the environment, that's when I'll probably be a bit more hesitant
Mm,
to, and believe it or not, if we go into the whole personality type, interaction styles, um, talk, I do not initiate, I respond.
mm.
And a lot of people, when they hear that about myself, they're like, "Oh, come on, it cannot be you." But that's actually true.
Hmm,
So that, can I do that? Yes. Does that take extra energy from myself? 100%.
yeah.
But I think we can always navigate it, and yeah, and try to find ways.
I think, it's changed a bit more the older I've gotten. I still initiate quite a bit in conversation because I'm interested or curious about someone. I'll say or ask something very easily, very naturally. Um, I think my challenge has always been to limit the number of connections that I make with people because they can sometimes be draining in energy. I I think as far back as I was like seventh or eighth grade, 13, 14 years old, and I had all these small groups of friends. They didn't all know each other, right? These circles didn't connect with each other. I was usually the one common denominator, but it was almost like always catching up at every time I was with a different circle and I missed what was going on in the first circle. And so that's been difficult. But I think even now, you and I have, we have a Zoom hangout every couple of weeks, and we talk for at least an hour and just, catch up on all the things. And we are as up to date and knowledgeable about each other's lives as anybody that, we're next door neighbors for the most part. Except you don't like,
100%.
yeah, you don't know like all the like what I buy in my groceries, or if there's, how much gas costs and all that stuff. But as far as our lives go, you're really in tune with everything, and I feel the same with you. But I think I'm also very selective now with whom I give that much time. And no shade to any of the people in my life that I love and appreciate and I value so much. But there's maybe like a handful of people with whom I feel I could have that level of reciprocal and that level of relationship outside of my immediate family. Because it just takes a lot of from me. And I think there's not a lot from me, I shouldn't say that way, because I do get so much from these relationships. I measure very closely how much I can give. If I can't give more, I try not to initiate more, right? And I've
Mhm.
had, I think, some challenges in because I'm such a, open and connected type person, that people do want to connect and they do want to spend time and they do invite me to do things. And I'm just like, no thanks. I can't. Does that ever happen to you? Like, how do you manage when people want to spend time with you and you're just like, I not right now, or I can't, or I don't have it in me, or
Yeah.
I'm already full. My dance card is full. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, no, it was interesting. While I was listening to you, some things were coming to my mind. So I think, like, just building a little bit on what you said previously, one of the things that I learned was to also let people go. So when I was really young, when I was, yeah, on seventh, eighth grade, maybe I would believe that I would need to stick to those people for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
And while many of them are still part of my immediate, circle of friends,
yeah.
which I'm very grateful for. But there are also other people that are not. And I used to feel guilty about that.
Mm,
Now I just really understand that there are some people that they will come and go. They will play an important role during a certain period of time in your life. And
yeah.
that's okay. It's okay to let them go.
Mm,
So that's the first thing that comes to me.
yeah.
A bit more connected to what you said after, I learned also in the last couple of years that I really recharge by being with myself. So
Yeah.
I'm very social. I'm around people all the time, and that's great. Um, but I do respect and I appreciate my me time. And me time is being with no one, being with my hair this big, um, watching whatever I want to do or eating whatever I want to do.
Mm,
And a lot of people think that it's lonely, but I don't know. There's a lot going on over here, and it's just interesting.
yeah.
Sometimes tiring, yes, but very interesting just to be with myself, like bouncing back and thinking about like so many different things. I can spend really
Mm,
hours, or yeah, just listening to different things, watching different things. Anyway, so yeah, being respectful and mindful of my me time has been a game changer. And one of the habits that I think I got from German culture is like to go on walks,
to go on
uh,
walk.
on long walks or
Mm,
hikes. Well, the hiking, not so much yet. I can do eventually, but just going on walks. Just,
mm,
yeah, if the weather is great, go on a walk.
yeah.
If you need time to think a little, go on a walk.
Hmm.
If the weather is fresh, go get some fresh air. Go on a walk.
Yeah. So
So I've
enjoying,
been doing that a
you're
lot.
you're like bringing your carioca, experiences and being in nature and that sort of thing into your world now in Germany. I love that. I'm curious. I don't know if this is a topic that we want to
Oh,
discuss.
Valerie, you, here we go. What?
Well, I want to honor our friendship. I don't want us to I don't want you to let me go on the podcast because I've overstepped. But inquiring minds want to know what's the different how's dating in different cultures? Is there anything about that you want to share?
Hmm. I did not see that coming. Oh my gosh, what can I say? I would say that um, yes, there are different ways to access people. Um, and but we are all human after all.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we are all sharing this experience. I think we all want to be appreciated. We all want to be loved. We all want to, yeah, to connect with others.
Yeah.
And it's something interesting. Yeah, that's
All right,
as
I'll
far as I
save you.
go.
I'll
But
save
no, I'll just finish. I'll say it.
Okay.
It's also a social experiment
A
that I
social experiment? What do you
enjoy.
mean?
Just getting to know like these
Yeah.
people and finding different ways to connect with them. I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
imagine, I've always had, like you were talking about the fascination about foreigners, right? For me, dating has always been an opportunity to connect with foreign men because I don't know, it's the accent or the culture or some aspect of me that also has an opportunity to explore a different culture, even if I'm not living in it. So I find that interesting. Are you attracted to people that are from the same culture, different culture? What are you noticing?
um I guess again, like this curiosity about foreign people all also kind of like plays a role into that
Mm,
as well. So yeah,
yeah. Okay, so that's all
curious.
it's all part
It
of it.
is.
Culture. Got it. And I think, it's interesting as you're talking about these shifts that you're making from one culture to the next and how you are. What have you noticed about the type of relationships that you're building here? You mentioned letting go sometimes of people, but you've now moved, to a different continent and you are firmly established in this particular location. How do you maintain the relationships that you want to maintain? What is the criteria to engage in a new relationship? Right? When you see an opportunity while you're here, or even, when you're meeting people, how do you choose how to maintain? How do you choose when to let go? And how do you choose when to connect? Is
Mm-hmm.
that clear? That was a
That's
really
a
long question.
no, but
Okay.
I think I got it. Let's
I got
see.
it. Okay.
Let's see. Yes, it takes a lot of effort to maintain, especially if we are talking about my friendships or whatever connections I have with people from my home country. We are either 4 or 5 hours apart from each other,
The time zones.
so
Yeah.
time zones also influence that. So I would say that, yeah, I would say that it takes effort and energy,
Mhm.
uh, but I think it's worth doing it.
Okay.
And it's interesting now that you're saying this. The other day, another friend told me, he said, well, but whenever I ask about someone, you know what's going on in their lives.
Mhm.
So you really spend some time talking to these people and connecting with them. And so, well,
Yeah.
yes, because I've got this habit. So if I think of you and I think, uh, I don't know, if you came to my mind, it's probably because I'm curious about you. So I'll just grab my phone and either record
Mhm.
a quick voice memo or send you a quick message. So saying, hey Valerie, I thought of you. Like, how's it going? Just
Yeah.
so we can get, yeah, go keep then the relationship. So yes, it takes time and energy, but I think it's worth it. To keep people in my life nowadays, I think, yeah, I have no time to waste. So I really think I don't want it to sound controversial, but I think I have enough friends already. And what I mean by that,
Yeah,
if I decide to engage on a new relationship, if I want to bring someone into my life,
yeah,
and I mean like having a new friend, for example, it needs to count. So I need to see value in that. And so I need to be excited about spending time and quality time with that person.
hmm,
If it's a person that I really don't feel that is gonna add value or
yeah,
will not give me any pleasure, like for me to be around, yeah, maybe I don't want to spend my time with that person.
mm,
And I've been noticing that I've been a bit more selective when it comes to that
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I can do a better job, but I've been doing that more lately. um
Wait. Say that again. You can do a better job, and then I missed the last
I
thing.
I guess that, yeah. So people pleasers usually have a hard time of
Ah,
in saying, "Oh no, no, I'm busy. I don't want to spend time with you." I don't think it's
oh,
like that. So
oh,
I still sometimes, if I'm not 100% willing to, I'll still make time,
yeah.
because it also might be important for the other person as well. It's not all about myself.
Mm,
But I've been also, again, when I feel that there's no reason for it,
yeah.
I don't think I will spend valuable time with that person. And and now I'm at a point in my life where I'm also trying to say more yeses. So
Mm,
even last week, so I have a great example. So there are parts of, well, there again, I work for a very big company, thousands of people, and there's a group. There's a Latinos group chat that someone put
huh?
together. At some point, yeah, the Brazilians were invited, which I thought was amazing because, well, we happen to be Latin, but we don't speak Spanish. Our mother
Mm-hmm.
tongue is Portuguese. So, but anyway, someone decided to blend it, to blend the groups, and will bring the Brazilians along. So then a colleague very spontaneously on Friday posted on the chat, so hey guys, I don't know, there's nothing, I don't see much action going on here in the group. Why don't we go and have a beer? It's Friday evening. Let's all go together to a bar and just sit and relax. And I could have said no because I was
I
not
have enough
close to,
friends.
or
No, kidding.
it's not that I have a very well established relationship with the people that said yes.
Mm,
Still, I knew that they were great people. I knew that I was up for something fun. And
mm,
it ended up being just a great evening where I had great
mm,
conversations. I met new people. We had a great laugh. And I feel that, again, it was worth it investing time and getting to know people. And we never know how these relationships might develop.
mm,
So I think it's also important. So yes, it maybe I'm contradicting myself because I just said that I have enough people, but I think it's all about what I really mean is that where whoever is coming into my
yeah.
life now, or whoever I choose to say yes to
Mm-hmm.
spend time with, I needs to somehow bring me joy or bring me something, that I feel excited. And I also
Mm,
feel that I need to contribute to these people as well. It's not about
yeah.
giving, so it's not about receiving, but also giving.
Giving.
I don't know if that made
Yeah,
sense,
but
but
I don't think you're contradicting yourself, but I think it's a very human thing that we need to discern, right? So there are times when we just have to kind of jump into the pool of humanity to connect with groups of people, whether that is at a meeting or a conference, or in this case was like having a beer at the bar or whatever. So you have this opportunity to just be in the pool with other people. And we also can determine whether or not in that pool we choose to go and hang out with a small group or have a one-on-one conversation, right? Or we can just go from, group to group. So how we decide we give that energy, we can be very selective about that, right? So
Mhm.
I don't think that contradicts. You seem to be very mindful about how much energy you have, and if you do go into these social spaces, where you direct your energy and for how long. And then what you're talking about beyond that is, yeah, if you're going to go out to one individual or a small group or organize something, or you're there for a couple more hours with a group of people, that does require a different level of investment. And so, but I think all of us have, that resonates, I think, with all of us, because we do have an opportunity to say yes to some things that bring us joy, that fill us up, where it's not, the exchange is not so it's not so costly. In fact, I share with you that my mom has been recuperating over the last few weeks, and that requires some energy, and so she's taking it easy, and sometimes I'm not doing as many activities. But I remember, like, shortly after she was finally given kind of the all clear, she was sick for some time. um the first instinct was to reconnect with some people that she'd been supporting recently. And I was like, Mom, isn't that the person that has like all these health issues? And isn't that the other person that has a lot of drama? I'm like, no, you do not need to hang out with them right now. Right now, you need to be the one receiving more. You need to fill up your cup. You need to be the one that's really actually benefiting from whatever relationship or time you're spending. Not that she loves to help people, she loves to be a giver, and that's great. But right now, you need to put that to the side so that you can receive more. And so I was coaching her, and I said, so who are the people in your life that bring you joy, with whom you feel that, or at least neutral, right? That you don't feel like you are drained after being with them, or that you have to overperform to connect. And she named some people. I'm like, when are you going to go see them? And she's like, oh, but this one is working. This one has grandkids. This one, da, da, da. And I said, all you have to do is, if you could just reach out to them and let them know that you miss them, or that, hey, I can't wait to hang out with you, or whatever. You don't even have to go as far as making the plan or trying to organize something. Just reach out and let them know, like a little, like throwing a little, fishing pole in the water, and just see. And sure enough, one of her friends that she reached out to ended up bringing her this lovely meal. And my mom was so touched, because I'm like, oh, that was not something that she would have expected. And in fact, because of that, and my mom reacted so lovely. I guess this woman's love language is food, because she's invited my mom to, her family was here, and she was, her cooking some a special meal. And so she invited my mom to join them. And it was so nice for her to just, feel like she was being taken care of by other people. So I think that's what I'm talking about, discerning. Like, we have to be able to discern when, one, it's time for us to just hang back, spend time alone, like you said, being with ourselves to recharge. Sometimes a recharge happens in a group, where you can be very selective about where you give that energy exchange. And sometimes it has to be like, okay, I don't have much to give right now, but I do need some. And so then reaching out to someone that we know can pour into us, right? At whatever level we're comfortable with. So yeah, I think what you're saying makes perfect sense, and it's something that I am appreciating, how intentional we can be, and still love people, and still honor people, and still, not diminish or discount relationships because, oh, I don't have time, or I have enough friends, or like, we can still love, honor, and connect with people without having to invest huge amounts of time or energy with them. What
Yeah,
are your
yeah.
thoughts on that? That's a lot. I said a lot. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you see it that way. And yes, no, I was just probably overthinking here. Like, oh my gosh, people will not understand what I said about like having enough friends. I don't want to sound, that. But I think it's all, again, like to your point, it's about being very intentional
Yeah.
on how you spend your time with, and what you can offer, what you can give, and what you can receive. Yeah.
I love that. Look, Felipe, you and I, because we've known each other for so long, and you've heard me talking about everything that we talk about today relating to building relationships and connecting and having a circle of influencers, what advice would you have for me or for someone that might be listening relating to making the most out of the circle that we have or the circle that we're creating? What's some advice that you would give or wisdom that you would share?
Mhm. Um, I would say that, well, again, we talked a lot about being very intentional. So I would say that first, it's important to understand what kind of influencers are out there.
Mhm.
So having a clear picture of what different kinds of influencers you have out there, I think the next important thing is to observe your own circle.
Mm,
Okay, like what kind of influencers do I have in my circle? Do I need to bring a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that? Can I be a bit more intentional on how I connect with XYZ
yeah.
types of influencers? And then from there, work a little bit on that.
Mm,
Meaning, yes, being intentional, bringing some people into your life, but also maintaining and appreciating the influencers that you already have.
yeah.
Truly, kind of like making them part of your life and inviting them to act as the great collaborators that they can be.
Mm,
So if there is someone that, is always that person that challenges you in a certain way, be intentional, invite that person and to challenge you on a certain idea, or yeah, have this person as this sounding board, and so you can
yeah.
exchange on that level. Depending on the time of your life, you might be needing more support. Who can you
Yeah.
go to to get that from
Get
that
that.
person? Because
Mm,
yes, again, coming back to the two-way street kind of thing, you get a lot, but I think people really feel appreciated when they
mhm.
feel that they are also contributing in such a meaningful way. At
Yeah.
least I can say from my own experience, whenever you and I share something, and I don't know, we hang up, and I have that feeling that I was able to make the difference, or I was
Mhm.
able to contribute with something that I said, an idea that I shared, or just because I was a great listener on that day. That makes my day. I feel very happy. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one who feels that way.
No, in fact, I don't want to miss this opportunity to like just appreciate you so much in our friendship because you've played all those roles that you described, right? This circle of influencers that I talk a lot about. You've played in every single one of those, right? There have been times when you've had to challenge me in my way of thinking and giving a different perspective. Like, okay, Valerie, not yet, not now. Maybe you're doing this, and you do so in a very loving, kind way, of course. But you've also been a supporter where there's times when I've been just like, oh my gosh, Felipe, guess what? And I have this crazy, experience or story to share or something that just, just for validation as a friend, I want to share with you, and you've been that person. There's also been times when I've needed, hey, shared some of the things that I do in my work, and you've given me connections to the company you work for. You obviously were that when you were in Brazil as well, when I was, traveling to visit and to work with Hyatt. There's all these moments where you've been able to extend some level of support to me, a resource or a connection or an introduction, right? And more than anything, I think, we were like just partners in life in many ways, although we're moving in different spaces and maybe towards different goals. Like tangible goals might be different in some ways, but I think spiritual goals were the same. What you say? It's kind of like, yeah, we want to bring the best out of not only each other, but the people around us. And we're always finding ways to grow ourselves and evolve and develop ourselves so that we can be all we can be for those. And I think those are the things that you and I share the most. And therefore, yeah, the contributions are huge. Right. And I think on both
Mhm.
ends, you hear a lot from me. I know that.
And I
I
couldn't be more grateful, really. What she said, what can I say after this? Thank you so much. I'm very, very glad. And yes, I can only echo exactly what you said. So yeah, very glad, very glad.
Yes, no, such a blessing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time to be with us today and to share your
Of course.
stories and examples. I'm so grateful that you once again, Felipe is a fan favorite, y'all. He's been on every podcast for a reason. I don't take it for granted. Not only because he doesn't need to say more yeses to me, he says them all. He gives me all the yeses, but more importantly, I think the value that you bring to our friendship and to anyone that you share your story and your examples with is what I value. And one of the reasons that I think, you always have so many wonderful things to share. So thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's such a great exchange, and I'll keep saying more and more yeses to you because you deserve them all. So thank you.
Ah, likewise, likewise. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Circle of Hope podcast. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Circle of Hope. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share with someone in your circle. And if you're curious about the upcoming book, visit valeriehope.com for updates and extras. Until then, stay connected.